Welcome back to Finn vs. History with Horatio Gould and Daniel Sloss still.
Hola.
Hola. This is part 4 of our epic trudge through.
A great man.
A great man.
The Maradona of dictators.
Yes. Gone too soon. Gone but not forgotten.
Maybe the funnest dictator there is, maybe.
Yeah, Muammar Gaddafi. I'd say so.
He's having such a laugh. Like all these other dictators, they've got the fucking SS, they've got their, massive propaganda machines, the shutting down of free speech.
Dower.
Yeah. Gaddafi's like, get me bodyguards with tits.
Yes.
It is so good.
But what's interesting as well is when he first came to power, and when he was trying to, flirt with Pan-Arabism, he's really pushed like morality.
Yeah.
Like Sharia law.
Gays are flogged.
Yeah, and also like no drinking.
Yeah.
And like women should cover up. But he's a massive cokehead and has bodyguards with massive tits.
Yeah. He's a left-wing London comic. It's the hypocrisy of every single left-wing London comic.
So Gaddafi has what's called an Amazonian guard.
Now, has he called them that?
Yes, he calls them
right,
that.
Fine.
Because you have to be taller than him to get in.
Yeah.
That is
you have
so
to be.
funny.
You have to be pretty.
Yeah, you have to be this tall to ride Gaddafi.
You have to be this tall to ride Gaddafi. You have to be.
You have to be this tall to ride and die for Gaddafi as well. Yeah.
You have to be pretty. You have to be a virgin. And you have to wear makeup and military uniforms.
Yeah.
And he goes from the 80s.
Airways air hostess.
Yeah, from the 80s onwards, he just goes everywhere with these women.
And
how tall is Gaddafi? Like, how tall are these women?
I think Gaddafi's probably quite small.
There's
1.83.
That's not small.
He's shorter than Saddam, if anyone wants to.
Saddam's tall though.
Yeah.
Saddam's like 6'2", 6'3".
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought that was just the news that did that.
But he starts walking around in the late 80s with a fleet of. I'm aroused by it.
Yeah, it's also like I love that
hot.
It's hot. It is hot. It's hot.
He's got his male bodyguards who are like decked up. They've got the AKs. They've got all the guns and everything. And then he's got his female bodyguards. And it is like when you're playing any sort of like fantasy game, and men are in like big bits of armor, fully shielded. Yeah. And the girls are just like, it's two small playthings covering their nipples.
Yeah.
A butt plug up the back, and he's like, they are as trained as the best of my men.
His whole point is that men find it harder to kill women, so they're better.
Which is mental.
That's awesome. That's so funny.
It's like a feminist thing.
Yeah. The fact that he's flipping it and it's like a practical thing.
Yeah.
Also, I think if
they had to have big tits to distract the people trying to kill me.
Yeah.
I think if you were to ask any Muslim woman if that were true, they would be like, "I'm sorry, what's the myth?
Yeah,
men are unwilling to kill women. Is that? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what an interesting Western concept."
Yeah, the idea is that a sniper would be about to shoot Gaddafi, and they're like, "Oh, look at the jugs on that," and then
just start jerking off.
Oh God! If I make them horny, they won't kill me. So Gaddafi starts going to all these like international conferences. Well, he doesn't because he's kind of a.
When he's going to the international conferences, though, he's also just setting up his tent outside.
He
refuses
his bulletproof tent.
Yeah, he has a Bedouin tent.
Bulletproof Bedouin tent.
Bulletproof. So at this point in the story, we left off. He'd massacred some people at a prison, and he was generally an international pariah. But in 2001, it was a sunny day in New York.
Yep.
And
beautiful day.
Yeah.
And
good day to look at the sky.
Not a cloud in sight.
Not a cloud in the sky. And
there was about to be two big ones going on for days and days and days.
A thunderstorm was approaching, and that thunderstorm is Daniel Sloss' 11th birthday.
Yes. I didn't find out about 9/11 until 9:15.
Were you literally blowing the candles out on your cake as the sky above New York was turning black with smoke?
I was on a school trip. It was like the primary sevens were taken away to a place called Ardroy for 5 days away from the parents. It was just with teachers and stuff. And like obviously in the morning everyone sings happy birthday. It's not 7 a.m. in New York yet. We're driving to go like fucking rock climbing or kayaking or some shit. And all these 20 kids on this bus, all the teachers just go really quiet, and like some of them are crying, and they're telling the kids to shut up so they can turn the volume up on the radio. And all the kids were like, "Oh my God, I wonder what's going on." None of the kids having the wherewithal to just listen to what the radio's saying.
But it's a Chris Moyle show.
Yeah. Guys, 2 planes have smashed into the World Trade Center, but here's Kylie Minogue with Can't Get You Out of My Head.
And then, for like, the teachers was like, hey, something's happened in the world, but we don't think it's our place to tell you what's happened. So
What?
On like the Friday I got home, my parents picked me up from school. They're like, hey, happy delayed birthday. Here's your presents. It's a remote control circular lot from Road Wars. Also, by the way, there's going to be a minute's silence on your birthday for the foreseeable future.
I mean, I was born on the actual day Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait.
Yeah?
Right,
And
showing
yet,
off.
well, there's no fucking slogan for that. There's no never forget.
The imagery's not as good.
It's incredible imagery.
What, the
Tanks
Kuwait?
through the desert.
But 9/11.
The boss man above it all with the tash. No, you're right. I mean,
My first memory was 9/11.
Really?
That's it. No, it's true. I have a joke in my show about if you're Gen Z or millennial, it's if your first memory was before or after 9/11. I'm right on the cusp because my first memory was the second tower coming down. But it was just the TV in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I was about 4 years old, and I just remember that image.
Wow.
That's my first memory. I can't remember anything before, really. I mean,
Oh my
maybe
God.
it's blurry, but that's pretty much the earliest memory I have.
Tourist selfies of on
there's
9/11.
like a whole collection of tourist selfies where they kind of don't really know what's going on.
Wow.
Anyway, 9/11 is a long series. We cannot get too enraptured by the dark.
Can you just let me look at pictures of 9/11 in peace?
We cannot.
Look, it's a day without the kids. I want to just look at pictures of 9/11. Yes,
This is not about 9/11.
Get the falling man up. Let's have a look at that.
No. This is not about 9/11. This is about Gaddafi. We will come back to 9/11. We need to come on. Get the pictures off the screen.
Sorry. What a beautiful day in New York that was.
Also, Gaddafi's turn after this is, we're going to talk about it at length, how much, but just for that to happen and with everything he's done to fully and successfully get the rest of the Western world back on side by going, fucking Muslims. And every single one of us went, who's this North
guy?
African
This guy. Oh, you know what? I like this guy. You're all right, you. Yeah.
You didn't say you fucking
literally
hate
funded Lockerby.
Yeah.
Which is the 9/11 before 9/11.
Yeah.
Munich Olympic disaster. He's fucking bombed a Berlin nightclub. You know what? You're all right, mate. You're all right.
Let bygones be bygones.
So Gaddafi, after 9/11, the man who had paid for Lockerby bombing, he comes out and he says, "This is an absolute disgrace."
Yeah.
Flying planes into buildings, innocent people dying. I can't believe they do
I'm
this.
disgusted.
I hate Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
I hate them.
I hate any form of militant Islam.
Yeah.
That being said, as a proud Muslim, I
and
think,
a militantly proud one.
Listen, I
and a
like-
militant leader. I think the way we do retribution on these awful people is, let me do it. Let me.
I like Muslims and I like terrorism. Never the twain should meet, in my opinion. I don't like Muslim terrorists.
It's like me with musical theatre.
Yes.
Theatre, music, don't mix the two.
Or don't go to the
don't go to play at
don't go
all.
to either. Just stay home and read copies of Auto Trader. So Gaddafi, much like the Zidane balletic spin, 9/11 happens and he just pirouettes on the ball and he keeps going.
Yeah.
Bush is obviously, he wants blood, he wants to deal with the Middle East, he wants to deal with countries that harbour terrorism. Gaddafi is that country, and Gaddafi takes 9/11.
More so than any other country.
Takes 9/11 and just carries on for another 10
Here we
years.
go, look
in
at
power.
this. Controls it.
Controls
Just
it.
plucks it out the sky.
Lovely. Look at that touch. 10 years in power for. Look at that. What's that? Another massacre? Yes, please. Where's the one? It's liquid. It's liquid politics. Anyway, immediately after 9/11 happens, obviously Bush goes on the warpath, Afghanistan. Then they start making noises about Saddam.
Yeah.
I always find, I said this in one of the other episodes, the state they want is Libya.
Yeah.
Libya is the state that is funding terrorism, no matter the cause.
Is it the surrealness of Gaddafi's performance, his constantly shifting thing that kind of distracts?
Yeah, maybe.
Because Saddam gets it all in the neck.
Gaddafi does the hot dog bit from I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah.
Gaddafi stands in the middle of the UN and he's like, we have to find out who is making these Muslims militant. We have to find out.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. Gaddafi's dressed in a hot dog costume at the UN.
I mean, he probably is. He is
He probably
genuinely.
is
I mean,
actually.
it's not far off what he's wearing these days.
And somehow the West falls hook, line and sinker for it. But because Reagan and Gaddafi had been so close to like full-on war, they don't really feel like they can go after him, like properly be mates.
Yeah.
So who should they send but their little lapdog? Hi, Muma, it's Tony. Hi.
Hi, Muma.
Hi, Muma.
I think it's just great that our two nations can
Get together again. Lovely. What a
lovely tent you've got
Lovely
here.
tent you've got here. Tony Blair goes to meet Gaddafi in his tent in the desert, 2004. Obviously, we'll do a huge. Probably do a year on Blair if I had my way.
Big fan.
Beer. I love the hubris of it, the Greek tragedy of like the only prime minister that's really been any good for the first bit, and then and just like signs a deal with the devil, fucks it, everyone hates him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Blair flies to Tripoli to meet Gaddafi in his tent. The classic bee-liar snake hissing and purring around the man who had he apologised for Lockerby by this point?
No, I don't think he ever did. Because he never
hands
did.
people over.
He hands people over, but he refuses to ever say that like Libya was part of it.
Right. Okay.
So what this is to let Gaddafi back into the international community. They got Blair. It's good PR for Gaddafi, but the deal is US and UK can get some oil deals, right?
Yeah, but it's also spies. It's sharing intelligence. It's using Libya's spy network to try and find
war of terrorists, sort of
more
stuff.
terrorist stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Gaddafi, would your terrorist spies happen to know where all the terrorists around the world are?
Yeah.
I can ask them.
Many terrorist spies. Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
But they've got like direct contact with people on the ground doing terrorism. Direct contact. They've got all the numbers. Different people though. Absolutely.
And Gaddafi's just dressed like Stevie Wonder at this point. Just late era Stevie, lots of robes, big hat.
Yeah, he's quite racially ambiguous throughout his, because of all his outfits.
He's African, he's Italian, he's Arab. Whatever happens, he's not on time. The latest man who's ever lived. So Blair does what's called the deal in the desert, where they publicly shake hands. Obviously,
do you remember this?
Yeah, I do, and I because there's also something about when Blair leaves office, he then he carries on cozying up to the Gaddafis, and part of the whole image.
Oh, in his like post prime minister
in his sort
money
of like
tours.
Yeah, in his like post number 10 Stephen
He'll
Bartlett
do an after
era.
dinner speech to anyone.
Yeah, I'll speak to anyone. I'll talk to anyone.
Yeah, I just like to get around the negotiating table and just really hash it out.
It's those podcasters, I'll have a conversation with everyone, And so I get confused about all that stuff. But yeah, I remember this, and this is, by this point, Blair's never given a fuck about what anyone thinks about him, which is what I like.
Which is why he married Cherie.
Do you think that Blair doesn't give a fuck about what people think?
Cherie Blair is, okay, that's a bad photo. I don't think she's that
Yeah, but you have a thing for a Scottish-looking woman.
I'm with you on Lorraine Kelly. Lorraine Kelly, I would chew through her arsehole until I hit spine. But that would be, you'd do damage to that.
I guess we've got some new merch. That's a tea towel.
Chew through her arsehole until you hit spine.
Right,
Yes.
don't know to get the Lorraine Kelly pictures off. We're trying to finish an
God.
episode. Please.
Can you just bring up 9/11 alongside David Kelly first, and I'll just stim here for a while. You guys finish up. Don't mind me.
We'll get on to Blair.
No, yeah, I would. I'd save 12 Thai boys from deep inside Lorraine Kelly's arsehole. I'd build a submarine and get in there.
Yeah. And then I'd call you a nonce for doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so Blair at this point, he doesn't give a fuck about what anyone thinks about him.
At this point.
No, but he's
Do you
still.
think throughout consistently he's someone who doesn't give a fuck?
Yeah, have you heard any of the speeches of the inquiry? He's like, I know many people can disagree with you. I think I did the right thing, because he's kind of got that Catholic destiny Messiah complex.
Right.
He's got pretty bulletproof
sense of self.
Yeah, self-esteem.
So you're saying he's an icon for masculine confidence?
Yes,
believing yourself.
I am saying that. Yeah. So he goes and meets Gaddafi. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but this is real politique, right? What's that? That's like basically pragmatic foreign
fuck
policy.
Ideology. You got to deal with what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Which
that's Blair through and through.
Well, you've been saying the whole time that the way Europe deals with Gaddafi is like kind of pointless when the guy's just got a golden gun, doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So you've got to get someone who's like, well, we've got to deal with him.
Yeah.
So let's go and shake hands.
Yeah.
Gaddafi sees what's going on with Saddam, doesn't want to end up like him, found in a hole, ironically. And so a British defence firm starts signing contracts with Libya. Gaddafi then starts to gain legitimacy in the West for just, for the first time since he took power, really.
Right.
And this is kind of what he craves. He becomes this is where he becomes a kind of caricature.
Yeah.
Where he's like, the outfits properly go.
Yeah.
He's invited back to the
He's getting
UN.
plastic surgery, by the way.
Yeah.
Apparently.
We should talk about his harem. I imagine Daniel would like to talk about his sex crimes.
Exposing Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
surviving Gaddafi.
Well, the problem is with a lot of these things, by numbers, what people are saying, he could be the biggest rapist of all time. But it is rebels who are saying a lot of this stuff, right? So we really don't know. We don't know if he was the richest man in the world. We don't know if he was the biggest rapist because it's all so biased.
Yeah, but even if he wasn't the richest person in the world, we knew he definitely had a lot of money. And
Yeah,
even
a bit
if
of
he wasn't
cash.
the biggest rapist that ever
Don't
lived.
let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
So some of the alleged stuff from rebels, I guess, which
was
is
that he would
From
send
rebels,
from rebels.
allegedly.
he would send his
I
guards
don't want to
into
besmirch Gaddafi.
No.
well, this is actually what I'm about to spout is Libyan liberal propaganda
Right,
in the
go on.
sense
Yeah.
But it's still fun.
You're a shrill.
Yeah. I'm a shill to the left.
Yeah.
I'm a
Libyan shill.
he would send his guards round to like schools because he would occasionally go around to schools just to remind them
About
that
the Green Book.
Well, yeah, and also to occasionally be like, look at their sports hall and be like, you can fucking hang.
Yeah,
You can hang some fucking
I tell you
rebels
what,
in here.
great. It's been hanging a guy
Well,
from there.
like a dad who's always talking about fixing like a
We've
light
got to
fixture.
hang someone up there.
Yeah,
We've got to get
that's
around
right.
to doing that.
Yeah, that wood. You need stronger wood if you want to hang someone
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, because here's the thing: you can hang someone from there, but if a woman comes and drags in the light, the whole beam's coming down.
Yeah, they're going to have to do the
actually.
whole. That's shoddy. Who did that? Who
whole roof's gonna
much
have
did
to
you
come
pay
up.
for
That was me. That was me, was it? That was my info. Yeah, okay. Whoops. His guys would go around the schools and just pick out like girls between the ages of 12 and 15, and then like make their.
He loved potential.
He did.
He believed in the potential.
Yeah.
Is that not what leaders should treat for their youth? Is the
Yeah.
potential,
How's
the
it-
potential of the next generation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Admittedly, it was to be sex slaves in his harem, but it's
Yeah.
still about.
But
I
nobody-
see a.
Yeah, nobody yells at Barca scouts for going around the schools watching 5-year-olds play football. Where's the line? But apparently, like because some of his guards who've like come out since telling stories about how awful it was and what a shitty man it was.
Why are you saying it at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you wearing? Were you wearing military uniform?
Oh, and 15 years later, is
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Oh, your memories have started coming back, have they?
Oh, what? Now the dictator's died? Oh, really? That's
Now you're not at risk of death.
convenient. That's convenient.
They used to make the girls watch porn and be like, "This is what you have to do to Gaddafi." Later on, like that's how they
Right.
would. I'm doing this as if they had iPhones back then.
Yeah.
I'm now thinking of the time that this happened. Probably wasn't showing, which might be
what would they
probably
have?
worse. Probably taking them into like a computer.
Yeah, big computer room.
Oh, that's
desktop.
awful. That's the
They've-
real,
yeah,
that's
they
the
got-
real problem. The technology needs to catch up.
Yeah.
But then he had like he had a secret tunnel from his house into a university dorms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was just to check on their homework, I'm sure.
Yes, to make sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing untoward
But the
happening.
homework was watching the porn. Watching the porn, so you know
Have
how
you
to
done any
suck
homework
my
this week?
dick.
No, right, suck me off.
Oh, you haven't done your homework. This
yeah.
is awful. This is so
Apparently, the
toothy.
guards would just touch someone on the head, and that's meant that they had to go and
Yeah.
wash them off or whatever.
And in our schools, we played Duck Duck Goose.
So Gaddafi, obviously that's bad, whoever you are, but Gaddafi at this point has had so much plastic surgery. I mean, he looks
He
pretty,
looks really fucked. Yeah,
really fucked. So he almost looks like a river corpse of himself.
yeah,
Apparently, he's really on the coke.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. That's
Yeah.
such a like.
But
Calm down
that
face.
is really.
He looks clapped for a rich man, even though he's old. He does look.
But then you look at how if he hadn't touched, I don't really, I never really see the point in plastic surgery, but he's such a gorgeous man in the late 60s.
Yeah.
That
I just think that weird jowly look is actually from the plastic surgery.
I think he's had fillers in his lips and his cheeks.
There's like a
hasn't he?
numbness, yeah.
Because his eyes are so small and
Anyway, so now we're hurtling towards the downfall.
his downfall. So How should we do this? Because it's the Arab Spring starts, 2010 in Tunisia?
2010, yeah.
Is it?
And Tunisia is
So
the country over from
we haven't placed
Libya.
any of this series actually at all in the time period. Should we just, for the people listening?
So what? It's place it from the Arab Spring is officially 2011, I think.
Okay, so 2011. So when's
so this will be before. I want to say, is this before Cars 2?
Is this before Cars 2? It's the year of Cars 2.
Oof. That's a close one. And it's before Cars 2 and after Cars 1. I think it's after Cars, the film.
Right.
So it's in between the two Cars films, I believe. The
Arab Spring kicks off.
They were just so impatient for the sequel.
Yeah, so 2006 was Cars.
All right, that places it perfectly. So someone in Tunisia, some absolute lunatic sets fire to themselves in Tunisia.
Yeah.
I can't remember why.
Yeah.
Birthday candle.
Birthday candle got out of control.
Yeah.
It was a gender reveal party went mad. They set themselves on fire. What happened? Why did the Arab Spring start in Tunisia? Freedom? Facebook Marketplace?
Well, is the person setting themselves on fire, was that Tunisia?
Yeah, that's where it started.
Oh, right.
That's what starts the revolution.
No one really talks about the Tunisia one, because I guess it's not that
they did overthrow the government, didn't they?
Yeah. But that was the first one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess no one cares about Tunisia.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a country you only really think about them if they're drawn in your World Cup group.
Yeah.
I think it's such a...
Selling vegetables without a permit, was harassed by police, confiscated his scales. He then set himself on fire.
Right.
I think that's a big
Hold up.
escalation.
Hold up. I thought it would be a lot more than that. They took his scales.
To be fair, he was selling vegetables without a permit. I mean, come on. Laws are there for a reason. So he was selling vegetables without a permit. He sets himself on fire. I think that's a bit extreme. Anyway.
With the rise of Facebook, it's not been taken over by governments yet. It's not controlled at all. It's used as a revolutionary tool properly for the first time. They overthrow a government in Tunisia, and then it starts happening all over the Arab world.
Egypt.
And then I think in Libya, the starting gun was...
It was the prison thing.
Well, when they found out about it.
Yeah, it basically comes out. Someone realises that he had killed everyone. They weren't still there in the prison.
It was a lawyer for the families trying to work it out, and he was like really beloved.
Quite a brave lawyer.
Yeah,
he was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, it was like 22, and just was like, I'll do it. And then it was like Gaddafi couldn't just like fucking arrest this guy and kill and get rid of him, because that would have been the fucking tinderbox that started it all off, which it was eventually. But I think they went and arrested this guy. They beat up the guy's mother. But like to sort of send a fucking warning, and this 22-year-old guy who just either didn't give a shit or fucking hated his mum and was doing it anyway. Busman's holiday.
Yeah. He's that young. He's like, fuck mom, man.
Yeah, he likes Blink 182. Yeah.
So he got taken away and locked away a little bit while investigating, and then that was the moment that people started going out into the streets. And
so protests start.
Is this in the east of the country as well?
This is in Tripoli.
Oh right, so this is in the west.
No, this is in Benghazi, where they hate him anyway.
Yeah, and the east, because he's starved the east out of any infrastructure or anything, which is happening a lot. Which happened when the prison riots happened. It's they have nothing to lose now. Yeah, and I think there's a problem with a lot of the downfall is. It reaches the point where you can kill us all, but our lives are so fucked anyway.
So there's a big protest sparked by the revelation the families are missing. Yeah. People are all dead, led by the lawyer. And then Gaddafi does his first move, signature move, kill everyone. Yeah. Starts firing on them. And then he does this mad speech on February 22nd where he basically says he's going to go alleyway by alleyway and clean house and get rid of all the stray dogs. And he'd, quote, rather die a martyr than step down. He called the protesters rats, blames Al-Qaeda, foreign agents. Yeah. Then, I think, is that when Obama basically is like, we need to step in here because he's using tanks against his own people.
Chemical weapons?
I think he's probably using chemical weapons. By March, Libya was in full-blown civil war. Rebels controlled Benghazi in the east. Gaddafi's forces are held up in Tripoli.
The NATO alliance create a no-fly zone, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's their thing, because they're not going to actively get involved troops on the ground, but instead they're going to stop any planes being up, and the big advantage the government will have over its own people is airspace control.
And this is sort of the last time the West...
It's holding down the bullies' arms while you let the kids...
Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in the fight, but I'm going to hold the bullies' arms down while all these toddlers kick the shit out of them.
And it's weird how... I think this is the last time the West intervenes militarily.
And the first, if you ask me.
Yep, and the first. Because obviously... In the Arab Spring, there's this kind of inconsistency in that some countries, the West go in on.
Yeah.
And then some, like Syria, they don't. And that obviously.
But it's a web of arms deals, oil deals, right?
Yeah,
It's kind
probably.
of like, it's complicated.
But they decide to back the rebels. The rebels form an NTC, National Transitional Council, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, NATO operate a no-fly zone, which means they'll shoot anything down. So the rebels essentially have air superiority over Libya. And then...
I think it's more, less air, because I think it's more, there's nothing in the air, which makes it a more fair fight, basically.
They're also they're sending in, the UN is like sending in people in to like train the ground troops,
Right,
being like, you know, hey, here's they're mercenaries, not hard bars, but we're sending them in.
So NATO launch they do launch airstrikes in March.
Oh
2011.
right, as
So
they do.
They do.
Well, that's kind of the big controversial Cameron foreign policy thing, or the Cameron government.
Yeah,
That's kind of his.
but this is just
And the whole every time a bomb's going off, Gaddafi's just on camera being like, "Oh, my niece, my nephew,
my third cousin wants to remove.
Oh, my
No,
cousin.
oh, not the house where I keep all
Please,
my
my friend.
babies." Not rape babies, regular babies.
well, someone in the Amazonian Guard did take a bullet for Gaddafi and died, and then he named a kid after her.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Was he holding the gun? Was it?
yes, he shot her and then went, "Oh, my flavors."
Yeah, because he did. He, I don't know if you spoke about it in the first couple of episodes. He threw tantrums quite regularly.
I know we didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
All the time, like whenever he would start these revolutions and he would put these new governments in place, they'd be like, "Okay, so the people actually want you to do this." And he's like, "Well, fine, I'll go to the desert then."
Yeah.
And
He'd literally storm off, and he'd be away for a month, and they're like,
So there's no leader for a
There's no
month.
leader. Then he'd come back and act like nothing else has happened.
Right,
guys,
right.
guess who wrote another book?
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, his book from 2006, which is madder than the Green Book, he talks really specifically about like bizarre things like ventilation in restaurants. He talks about
Pre-COVID.
it's like gripes. It's like Sean. It's like What's Upset You Now. You know, Sean Walsh's podcast.
Yeah.
It's that, but he's writing it and it's Colonel Gaddafi. It's 2006.
But basically, the front cover of this book looks exactly like the Obama Dreams from My Father, and it could not be more different. Anyway, so Cameron, controversially, he's only been in office about 18 months or something, and they all agree, NATO, to start airstrikes. They side with the rebels, and after a while, this is October, Gaddafi flees to Sirte, which is the town he's actually born nearest.
Yep.
And he's holed up there, and there's a convoy of like 70 cars.
Yep.
And they're basically waiting to try and break through the rebels' lines.
But apparently
and
he
get
does
all the
it-
way
yeah.
to like Niger or something. That's what they want
Partly,
to get
but I think he actually does that as a sort of suicide mission. He records a video for his family,
to. Oh, really?
thinking he's going to die.
Oh, right.
And it's just a like, fuck it, let's go for it.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
Let's do it live.
literally. I
Fuck
think it is viewed as a...
And he absolutely did a line beforehand.
Yeah.
That was just a huge fat rat.
Gaddafi and his boys in the car.
With 74 cars, he bursts out of the convoy. He's being shot at by the rebels, and then basically NATO drop a precision
a
airstrike.
French plane
blows up a lot of the vehicles. Gaddafi and some bodyguards stumble out, try and find cover. They find
they're on a main road, and
Yeah.
they need to get off the main road because obviously everyone can see
They
them.
find a dirty sewage pipe they hole up in, rebel bullets flying everywhere. The bodyguards fight to the last.
Yeah.
They get killed as well. Eventually, this angry mob of rebels drag Gaddafi out, get him over a hood of a car, and... I mean, how long do they torture him for?
They beat him up for ages.
Yeah.
They stab him. They punch him. All the time, Gaddafi's going, "What did I ever do to you? Please, my friend, no." They then, there's no other way to say it. They sodomize him with a big knife.
Yeah.
It's a pretty visceral image.
Yeah.
He's also
Alright.
He's covered in shit.
Yeah, that is what you get though.
It is,
That
it's
is-
a satisfying thing of that is
Yeah.
what you get.
That is.
That's what you get.
If you do, a bunch of close to genocides, you bunch of fucking rapes, you got a whole
Biggest
fucking-
rapist of all time.
Yeah. You get. I'm gonna knife your arse to death.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's also like he had a pretty fun life. So, like, would you take that fun of life for like?
Live fast, die
Yeah,
young.
I mean, it's a bad end, but
Yeah.
up until the last 6 months, it was pretty fun for him.
So you reckon when he's weighing up the scales of his life?
It's like, yeah, it went
like,
out like either, or you like an accountant who does Tough Mudder and then you die peacefully with your family, but it's I had a boring ass fuck life. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't end up getting sodomized at the end, but was it worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most amount of cocaine anyone's ever done, the most amount of like shagging via rape that's ever taken. Like, he had a golden pistol, man. That's awesome.
Every
That is
party
awesome.
has a hangover. You know,
Yeah.
every high has a come down.
There's a low. Yeah, exactly.
And
Imagine
it'll
getting invited to the White House and being like, come and hang out in my fucking tent. Yeah.
I don't know. For such a long narrative, it is like
There's
it's quite satisfying.
There's
end.
never been a better ending to a government official.
Yeah.
A government official has never left office in a more satisfying way.
Well, it's just like, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, he just got voted out. Hitler killed himself. This is insane.
Well,
What happens
just
to
the
Gaddafi?
punishment for greediness. You got greedy,
Yeah.
and now you're getting punished.
The richest man in the world. I mean, I tell you who else I'd like to die this way is Brian Johnson. That guy. The guy who's spending all that money trying to live forever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If he's 68 years old,
If 68 years old, if people pull him out of a sewage pipe and fucking sodomise him with a
I find
bayonet,
him so annoying.
we're just like, well, you know, fuck you. We're all mortal.
Yeah, but we all want to live forever. Fuck off.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Have this up your ass.
Yeah. this will make you live longer.
How's this for a supplement, you dick?
The opposite of a Glasgow kiss. A Glasgow rim job.
Glasgow rimming. Well, you have a theory that you mentioned the live show about Gaddafi that you've been
Well, it's a film that's the internet joke that I've been trying to
you've
work
been telling
for
us
ages.
to me
I
their
kind of
entire
want
friendship.
I want Bonnie Blue or someone like that to be a guest, and I guess the perfect film that's the internet joke for me would be you describe your favourite sex position,
Yeah.
and then you describe in detail. But it's like Shaggy Dog story, so maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You describe the entirety of Gaddafi's reign.
Yeah.
Running the country. You talk all the intricacies. And then, so this is my sexual fantasy.
Yeah.
And eventually, with all the rage of all the Libyan people who have been oppressed for decades, they've had their rights, their nation had stolen from you. And with that anger, the force of the millions of people who live in Libya gets shoved up your ass. And that is, like, that is the perfect, like, that's your sexual dream. It's just that. And then you call that sex position is called the Gaddafi or something like that is the final punchline. But I do think there's a perfect joke in there somewhere.
Every episode we ever wrote, at one point, Horatio goes, "Could we do that joke about Gaddafi being fucked up the arse as he died?"
But if we get a porn star who have no idea about the intricacies of Gaddafi,
Yeah, no,
you
we
explaining
should try.
in detail,
Yeah.
oh, this is my favourite position.
Yeah,
And
I will
then
write I write a book of aphorisms that I give to a population. And again, I'm spending oil wealth mainly on
it
terrorism.
goes on for ages.
Yeah.
And it ends with that.
Yeah, I'm covered in shit in a sewage pipe. Yeah. So he's angrily, viciously fucked up the arse, and it's funny how all the podcasts I listened to, there was this sort of like he was a terrible man, but no one deserves to die like that.
Like, fuck off.
No
I
one deserves-
absolutely.
it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Let the dog see the rabbit. Have a go. Come on. You know.
Man, for them to say that about fucking, Gaddafi being like, nobody deserves this, I'm like, man, I would take David Cameron getting that done. Like, I would absolutely, Jacob Rees-Mogg, instead of getting a fucking UK TV documentary, if we were just allowed to get all the families of the Grenfell victims to fuck him up the arse, just stuff his arse with fucking insulation through a rusty fucking pipe, that's how you leave office, you cunt. Like,
Chew through Jacob Rees or Mog's arse till you hit spine.
Well, I think the Gaddafi story is a rare, satisfying end.
It's a
'Cause
glorious
it's like
end,
Saddam's quite satisfying, the hanging, but the brutal kind of like impulsiveness of the way that they dealt with Gaddafi. No trial.
It's the mob ripping you to shreds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's what we were kind of starved of with Hitler.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you don't really, we wouldn't have that, would be Nuremberg, but it's like, because it's such a tragedy that Hitler killed
what
himself.
would you...
For many reasons.
It's a very
What
all
would you...
life, all suicides are tragic.
Men's mental health is a serious problem.
What would you have sodomized Hitler with if we got him?
I don't know, because what you really want is Holocaust, the inhabitants of Auschwitz
Yeah.
sodomizing Hitler or something. Like, you want images. You want something like
what's
that.
What's the 12 candle thing?
Menorah.
yeah.
But he should be hoisted by his own petard, right? So it should be...
Yeah.
Or if he gets gassed or whatever. But it's something...
Drown, die by farting.
gas mask.
Yeah. He has a gas mask and you're just farting into it. Every Holocaust survivor farts into it. 6 million farts. Yeah, that would be it. 6 million Jewish farts.
I guess the argument against the way that Gaddafi was treated on all these podcasts is saying that they're trying to rebuild Libya and you want it to be built on the idea of a just system. So you trial him and he gets to stand victim. But I think there is something about the grainy footage. He's covered in shit. He looks like shit. There is something that maybe puts dictators off more. Like, Does it work as more of a warning?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, then
Because
take
you're
turns.
you're just that image. If you see it, it's burnt into your head of like, that's what might happen if I become a dictator.
That's what stopped me from becoming.
Exactly. I was like, maybe not.
But then they take turns putting a bullet in him.
Yeah.
So he gets. No one knows how many times he's shot, and he's then dragged to a supermarket like walk-in freezer. He's just laying there like almost in state, but in like
he is lying in state.
Yeah, he's lying in state.
Philip Schofield skipped the queue.
Schofield's pushing in to try and see Gaddafi.
I like the fact that he's in the fridge because they were like, so many people are going to want to see this fucking body, and even though we've sodomized him with a knife and we've put 1,000 bullet holes with him, let's keep his body fresh so people can come in.
But you would, if you've been oppressed by this, I'd travel across the country to have a peek. Come on.
I'd buy a Thomas Cook package holiday to go and see Gaddafi.
Well, on the high street?
Yeah. I'd walk in, so hello, I've seen the news today, I'd like to go see Gaddafi's body.
Oh yeah, no worries, we've got a package set up. But I guess and there's a tragedy of this, I guess it's almost like when Ferguson left United, he was such a big personality that
I'd say
he'd been
he
there
had
for
a
so long.
slightly more dignified end, I'd say. Clapped off at the Stretford ends rather than sodomised in a sewage pipe. Imagine if Fergie, if like Wenger had just torn for... if like all the players...
Arsenal fan TVs. Lee Judges, you fucking... But I guess modern Libya, which we don't hear about at all because Gaddafi had so much star power.
Yeah.
He's the only Libyan any of us know. Like he was so famous. Like think about it. Historically, there's no Libyan. I don't know what's going on there now. I can't think of any figure that's even related to Libya. I think they were engulfed with lots of civil wars. All the tribes.
ISIS were in there a bit.
ISIS came in there. It was such a power vacuum. And because he had suppressed all opposition and no one was allowed to build any sort of fame, notoriety, it was so hard for anyone to take control. And then some people, I think there's going to be a creeping nostalgia where they misremember the Gaddafi era. I think that's due to happen in 10 years. As soon as a new youth generation come through, it's like, at least we had someone on the global stage. Yeah. And there's going to be like a revisionism is my prediction.
So we've got to the end of the Gaddafi story.
Yeah.
He's died. He died doing what he loved. Face deep in sewage, being fucked up the arse by a bayonet.
2 destroyed ship pipes.
2 destroyed ship pipes. So where do we, this is the second dictator we've dealt with on the pod. Where do we, in the kind of
Top Gear rankings?
I was going to say, in the Top Gear rankings, we does Gaddafi sit? We did Mao.
I love Mao. I've always been a Mao guy.
But Mao has a cold, almost clinical nature to him, whereas it's the polar opposite of this guy. This guy's a maniac.
Yeah.
I guess it was all about flair with Gaddafi. That's what I mean. Where it's not, you can't judge him on his numbers. You have to see him live. You have to understand. It reminds you why you love the game.
The passion of like the Napoli, like what Maradona did to the city of Napoli.
Right.
He's bigger than it, but he goes to the club, he takes the club into orbit. That's what Gaddafi did for Libya almost. I don't think we'll ever see a dictator with a similar level of flair. A sort of cartoon.
There's some who have flair. It's how he managed to do it for 40. It was the over so many eras. There's people who they flare up. They're really noisy dictators and they get killed within 8 years. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
If he'd not been killed, he would have been absolutely the first dictator to have an Instagram. And he absolutely, because he would have
Instagram live.
Gaddafi's sons are doing like TikTok dances
with the golden fucking gun, showing all the cool shit.
He literally had a golden gun.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is the closest to a real life Bond villain I think we'll ever have.
Yeah, maybe he's above Mao. He probably is above Mao then.
I think so. Yeah. I think just in terms of showmanship, flair.
So we've done 2 dictators now.
We've so far done 2 dictators. I would put Gaddafi above Mao.
Okay. So this is what the Gaddafi family would be doing. This is the
Gaddafi show.
This is Gaddafi and his sons.
I remember when dads used to hit their kids.
The West is dead. Yeah. I'd Sloss, any closing thoughts on Gaddafi?
Well, no, I mean, when you made me go away and research it, I went to do more research afterwards because I was just like, there's got to be more. He was doing it for a laugh. Now, admittedly, not everyone got the joke. Right?
Yeah.
He was doing out there stuff. It was like, he was
Kaufman-esque stuff, some of it.
Yeah. Or Alex Jones' InfoWars. There's kind of an era of just like madness.
Well, look, now we're in an era where you got Trump, you got Alex Jones, you got Kanye West, where the madness is actually mainstream.
Yes.
But Gaddafi was years before that.
Yeah.
He was doing it when it wasn't the cool thing to do. You know?
Yeah, and he was
a pioneer.
Yeah, and he was just doing, like, he set the fucking trend for so many crazy things of just, you know, I don't give a shit and I'm going to do it my way because I've got the most amount of money that's literally ever existed, and I can get you all back on side by just saying Muslims. Am I right?
Al Qaeda.
They said that he might have 200 billion, which back then was probably would have been like 400 or 500 billion.
Yeah, because he would stockpile fucking gold and then hide another, because he sort of figured that he might get caught.
So I guess
at
the
one point.
Gaddafis are using it.
Yeah.
One of his sons is now running to be like not a local councillor, but yeah,
Local councillor.
I guess it's a.
I will clean your bins.
The thing is, as well, I do think the Gaddafi families probably will get back in. It's just like the name recognition.
Yeah.
It's like, how else are you going to break through? I don't know.
So that brings us to the end, I think, of an epic fortnight on Colonel Gaddafi. As I said at the start, I'm in love. I'm in love with Gaddafi. And if that's wrong, I don't want to be right. Thanks so much, Sloss, for coming in. Do you have anything to promote? Nah.
Nothing. That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Man, just a genuine fan.
That's nice.
Thank you so much for coming down.
No plugs. Very nice.
I imagine Sloss would have several things to say to some of the patrons who I'm pretty sure are guilty of sex crimes.
Naughty.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Thanks, Horatio. We'll be back next week with a new topic. If you'd like a bonus episode, that's on the Patreon. You can sign up for £3.
We'll go through Gaddafi's sons.
We'll do Gaddafi's sons,
which are a lot of fun.
For sure. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.